Megan Benanti here. Thanks for joining me on Rise and Shine. Today we're going to answer the question, my family is driving me nuts. How do I navigate this? So I thought that would be a great topic. I don't know where you are in the world, but here in Dallas, Texas, we have had massive snowstorms. We're all trapped in here together. And so, you know, it's getting a little cozy, and we all love our family, but it did make me think of the question. So I thought that might be a good one for today. We don't have any power right now, and so I'm working with natural light. I hope that it's not going to be too dark once I edit it, because once I set my intention for a reading, I know that it's got the power and the ideas and the words that need to come through. So I'm hoping this works out, but that's why I'm wearing the snow hat. My feet are freezing, and we're just doing the best we can. So, all right. So first thing, let me go over the questions actually that I'm going to be answering so you kind of know what to expect. First, what is the main source of my family dysfunction? Second, what role do I play in this? Third, what do I need to do to improve this situation for my highest self? And so for your soul's purpose here. And then finally, how do we heal and or grow from this as a family? So we'll be looking at all of those and helping you kind of make some sense out of the craziness that's happening in your life. And know, as your family, this can be your parents, this can be your children, this can be both, this can be siblings. And so however you connect with the idea of family, my intentions are set for this reading to still apply to you. Okay, so first we're going to pick our charms, and we'll see what we've got here. Okay, 3 charms. We have the bow and arrow, which is kind of sweet because actually today is the day after Valentine's. We have a rose, and I know you can't see these, so that's why I have the little giffies up. And we have a crown. So you're either going to pick the bow and arrow, the rose, or the crown. Those are all really kind of sweet and special. I love that. We don't, you know, usually you get something that looks scary or whatever. I have one client or friend who follows me, and he's like, I always pick the pretty one or the sweet one, and it never works out right. I was like, well, it's the message that you needed. So, okay. So I'm going to read for our bow and arrow people first. And you are welcome to skip forward to where you see the giffies or the words down below so you can get to your reading. Okay, so bow and arrow people. Okay, well, the main source of your dysfunction in your family is a male figure. So this could be you, this could be dad. It is a leadership role. This could also be a grandfather. But strong male figure, and he's got a very strong emotional nature to him. Could be a drinker, not necessarily. And I think, you know, one of the things that as I look at this that feels really relevant is that there's a part that's missing, and you know it's missing, and you feel this big gaping hole either in him or in your relationship. And it's like, how do I move through this? It's like he doesn't even notice I'm here sometimes, or if he does, he can be really critical and harsh. And such a beautiful, powerful image this is. And I just want you to consider that. I see you as the ship. If you are the source of the problem yourself, then maybe it's time to be a little more analytical about things and not so super sensitive. It's not always about you. And if this is that other person, it might not always be about them, but they tend to think of it that way. So just kind of be aware of that. And as we have the bow and arrow, I mean, you know, this is about taking direct aim. What are you aiming for? What is the goal here? Now, I asked what role you play in this dysfunction, and I have this beautiful 8 of Cups. And, you know, if you look at that, it's almost like, you know, either you walk right into it or you're choosing not to deal with it. And, you know, and this would really imply choosing not to deal with it, but there's something really innocent about this person here. That's why I was like, you know, that sometimes you step into it without meaning to. But you're going to need to address a situation. And I do see you as feeling maybe a little, either feeling victimized or just not wanting to deal with it. And because you feel vulnerable, and that's okay. Honestly, to grow in any relationship, we have to be vulnerable, and it does suck sometimes. But if this family member loves you, and this might be even a partner, a spouse, you know, you've got to kind of stand up for what you want. You have a defense system. That's what the bow and arrow is about. And so know that that is there for you to navigate this with this person. Now, what do you need to do to improve this for your soul's life path? And you need to work hard on it, and you need to love this person, and you need to love this relationship. And we have Eight of Pentacles, which is just such a beautiful card. It's mastery, it's commitment, and loving your craft. And so, you know, loving this person is truly, truly important for you. And so I think that you can be a great influence in making this relationship work. And it's interesting because I also asked, how do we heal from this as a family? And I got the Magician in reverse. And so when we look at that, and such a beautiful card, this deck is really fabulous. Nobody knows where to begin, and nobody wants to start trying. And so that's a lot of stubborn egos there. And if we're going to help our souls, we have to get past our egos. And honestly, our egos are just as strong, but they're kind of our outer shell. They're protecting our soul. That's part of why the ego is there. It's like, it's the yin and yang energy, the dark and the light. The soul is the light. Our energy is, I mean, our ego is not some fantastic thing necessarily. You know, it strives for success. It holds us back with fear. So it's always got its own agenda, whether for positive or for negative. I mean, really, it's always trying to be happy, and whether that's instant gratification or long-term gratification. But for you guys with a bow and arrow, there has to be a commitment to just start. And whether that comes from you or from this male figure, be it spouse, father, grandfather, brother, you've got to open this door, or even you yourself. It's time for you to move forward. And there is no time like the present, bringing in that one. And two of your other cards were eights, which is, if we think about that, the 8 is the lemniscate, which is in Tarot, our old-fashioned word for the infinity symbol. So it's that yin and yang of energy. And that's the give and take. It's a never-ending loop. And so, you know, for you guys to work through this, it's going to be a continuous journey, but I want you to know this can really be a labor of love. So, and all that being said, I see a lot of strength here for you guys. So I hope this helped for you today. Now, let us take a look at our rose people and see what we get for you guys. Okay, so I have to reshuffle, and that always takes me a second. I'm really deliberate about putting my cards. When I throw cards back into the deck, I always space them. I never put them like just on the top or anything like that. Just because if I get a repeat card, I want like there to be a real reason for it. I like purpose behind that. So, all right, people with the roses. So we have, this rose doesn't show thorns, but it does show that it has serrated leaves that look very serrated, so fairly spiky here. And then it's got a little curly Q on the stem of the rose, so it kind of softens that a little bit. Now, I asked what the main source of this family dysfunction was, and I have Page of Pentacles. And so some of you might be dealing with kids, some of you might be dealing with siblings, or this might be you. And we're dealing with an immature sense of self here. It is definitely kind of that pressure of needing to grow up, figure out what your work is, if that's schoolwork, if that's a job. And some of you might also be dealing with a sibling that you love but are frustrated with. You know, a lot of what I've been dealing with both of these readings so far has been upright cards. So also acknowledging that, hey, things aren't that bad, but it is part of what we're dealing with. Now I asked how you play a role in this dysfunction, and I got Two of Pentacles, which is traditionally the juggling card. And so it's also represented by the lemniscate, the infinity symbol, which is interesting because we had that a moment ago in the number 8 for our last reading. So the yin and yang, the give and take of life. And, you know this is part you, this is part them. And even if this isn't either of those, I just thought it could be your partner is being really immature right now and you're getting so annoyed. But know that you play into this. And so you have 50% of this is you. And I think that's the big key element, is you're acknowledging what your role is in this. Okay, so what do you need to do to improve this situation for your highest self? And it's interesting, I got King of Swords, and it's a woman. A lot of decks do this, that the kings and queens and the knights might all be women. This King of Swords is a woman. And so you need to kind of take the high road. You need to stuff your feelings a little bit. Sorry, but that means not taking it personal. It's going to be thinking things through, not jumping to conclusions. It's going to be finding that sense of like, okay, I need to speak wisely here and be sensitive to my partner's needs. And just not overreacting. So, and finding that will create the balance that you need. So that's not a huge, big deal to have to get through. It's just being conscientious and polite, for that matter. When we think things through, we tend to be a lot more polite than flipping the bird or saying something we're gonna regret. And so, now here, I also want you to be careful. We have, her sword is a very sharp needle. So she's been threading this needle and thinking about this for a little while. So, I also want you to think about, do you really want to say something that's going to poke or trigger something in your other person, in your partnership or relationship here? So just be conscientious how you navigate that, and know that you're being called to be a king. So it's definitely to get out of the childish position, to think about this from a very mature standpoint. And I know you've got that in you, or wouldn't be showing up here. So that's awesome. Okay, now how are you guys gonna heal or grow from this as a family? And I have another 2. I got 2 of Cups in reverse though. So, it's acknowledging that this is an area where you guys are not gonna see eye to eye on. And over time, this is going to continue to be a challenge for you. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to part ways over this. And it could be, if this is if right now your family is a partnership of some kind, but it could be that we agree to disagree as well. Now, with our family that we are married into, born into, given birth to, obviously we're not going to be getting rid of them or breaking up with them, but we can agree to disagree. And it's interesting because these 2 are identical twins, and honest to God, I thought they were Siamese twins at first. And so, because they are so connected in this image. And so know that that's part of this relationship for you, is having that deep connection and knowing that your hearts are in different areas, and that is okay. So, but know that this is always going to be a little bit of a sensitive area for the both of you. And so navigate that carefully and know that it doesn't have to be the end of your relationship, but if you don't deal with it, it could be. So, just take the responsibility of your love for that person to your heart and how you want to navigate this with them. And you know what? You could always share this reading with them, and hopefully they'll get some message out of it that helps them too. So, okay, now that was our rose, people. And you think about it, the rose is about blooming and growing. And so that's part of what this relationship is for you, is to grow and bloom and continue to bloom together in the ways that you can. All right, so let us take a look at the crown, people. All such pretty charms today. I just love this. So, okay, and the crown is a big, heavy crown, big enough to be worn by a man or a woman. It would be towering on my little tiny head, but of course I have my little crown today. It's a little puffball. So, we all got to wear our crown sometimes, right? Okay, crown people. So, how is your family driving you nuts? And what are you going to do about that? How do you navigate it? So, first of all, the main source of your family dysfunction is you guys need to emotionally open up. You just need a fresh start here. And I don't know if it's always been this way, but you just need to let go of trying to be in control of it. This is Ace of Cups. How beautiful is that? And all these butterflies coming out of this. So that full transformation and metamorphosis is here. And, just allowing that your heart to flow, and the voice of love for these people in your family to come out however you need that to be. And if you're really doubting if you love them, that's okay too. But I do think that you need to acknowledge, if nothing else, that you want to feel loved by them. And I think you need to have this conversation with them. Because if you're the child, no matter what happens, when a parent gives birth to you, they love you no matter what. It is just part of what happens, even if they suck at it. If you're a parent, you know this. If you're dealing with a sibling, you also understand that there is love there, even if you're not close. Okay, and if you're also dealing in a partnership, that this is your spouse, then you guys need a new beginning. You need to start talking about the things that brought you close together and why you're not feeling that way anymore. You've got the crown here, and so that lets me know that you're trying to be the ruler. You're trying to be in charge. And sometimes with relationships, it's not about being in charge. It's about letting go. So you've got to work counterintuitively for yourself. Okay, so what role are you playing in this dysfunction? Well, you're definitely working against things. And we have 7 of Pentacles. And look at that. She's in an apple tree. And, if you go back to the Garden of Eden, that story is about a choice. Do we follow God's will or do we not? So this is your choice to not grow and connect with the family here and to feel like you've got to pull away. And that might be about self-preservation for you. But I would also acknowledge that in the depths of this tree, it is lush. It's full of life here. And maybe there's a part of you that can connect within your family and feel that life, and maybe you can't. But I think that you need to acknowledge that they gave you life in some way, shape, or form. This person brought life into you. And whether you want to be a part of that right now or not is your free will and your choice to withdraw. but know that this also has an effect on you, whether that's positive or negative. Okay, now what do you need to improve this situation for your highest self? And this is interesting. We got 6 of Pentacles in reverse. And so, this would be to withdraw. Honestly, if you are always helping somebody out financially in the family, this is saying you also need to stop doing that right now, because that's a sore spot for you. And if you give, you do become resentful. So, maybe for you, it is really cutting back right now, and your self-preservation is to withdraw from the family and to really take care of what you need. And I just want to look at this image here for a minute and see what I'm pulling in. Yeah, it's a constant drain on you. And honestly, this might even be a sibling. I do feel like we've got some influence in there where you're like, oh, not again. So, and what I saw is the tree, and the last card is now part of the wallpaper in this card into the background. So there's a lot about the tree of life and this idea of giving and the giving tree. And giving yourself away. And so for you, I really feel like there's a lot about building your own boundaries and finding those in this moment. Now, how do you heal or grow from this as a family? Tough card here. We got 10 of Swords, and what a powerful image that is. All those needles being pricked into her hair. It is about a new beginning. So you started with an ace and you ended with a 10. And what I want you to know too, you didn't get any major arcanas here. So this is about a cycle in your life. This isn't necessarily going to be a forever situation, but you will need to acknowledge that at some point this cycle will need to end. And when you're done with this cycle, and that might be really defining what your boundaries are around your family and stating them clearly, because especially if you're dealing with a parent, we have to be clear. And know that it's hard for the parent too. I have teenagers, and sometimes they need to say something to me and I'm like, oh, and it's embarrassing and it sucks, but I have to respect. They have boundaries that they want me to respect, and I can agree to disagree. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I get that. I'm really sorry, So, defining those things is going to create the end of this cycle for you. If not, know that this is a temporary phase in your life and that this will come to an end. And when it does, you guys can start a new cycle in your life. And you might be hesitant about, is that cycle now? That's why that ace started out in the beginning. I do feel, you'll know when you're ready, because you won't have quite so much fear and you'll be ready to heal that situation. And sometimes that's apologizing, even when you're not fully clear on what you're sorry for, but there's something that you feel sorry about, but you might not fully understand what it is. And if that is you sit down and do some journaling and figure out, why do I feel sad or remorse about this situation? And use that, excuse me, sorry. Use that as a prompt and then do your writing. It's so cold in here, I can't, no surprise I'm sneezing. Because that prompt might really help you to resolve and figure out what it is that is a trigger for you in this, whether it's about them or about yourself, which the goal is to figure out how we can heal ourselves, really. What's our part? What are we doing? How do we help heal? And right now, I feel like you pulling away is part of the problem, but I also know, I think this is something that you need, and you had to consciously make this choice. So, All right, everyone, so that is it for this week. I appreciate you tuning in. If you have a fantastic question, or even if you think it's a lame question, it's a question, post it below. I'm always looking for great ideas to do readings on. And of course, your idea is exactly what I want. And, if you have questions, concerns, reach out, comment. You can always also go through my website and comment to me there. All right, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.